Okay, that's really a nice look for you, Dan.
Well,
There
I
you go.
thought if you were having a bad tech day, I could help out, make you feel better by having a bad hair day.
Jesus Christ. I swear to God. Getting kind of frustrated with Google.
Don't blame Jesus for this.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Howdy. No, Walt, it's not a multiple Google account problem. It's the fact that even the same accounts, I mean, if you go 1 week to the next, apparently then it forces you to yet again authorize a yes, I really can do a live stream. Um, the other thing we ran into is that now it's even more onerous about logging you out of everything you're logged into that has Google name on it. So like, not only did it log me out of Firefox, somehow logged me out of my Chrome too. Just
That'll teach you.
I don't even want to think about how the hell that works, but apparently it's maybe IP related. I don't know. Not intellectual property, Internet Protocol, just in case you're wondering. So, all right. So we do actually have a show planned for today.
It's probably because I just logged in as you from a proxy in India.
Yeah, right.
To read your email.
So yeah, like that's there's any use to that, right? Any value in there? Right?
You don't read your own email, pal.
As little as I can. So yeah. So all right. So here we go. We're going to talk about copy, the final frontier, the thing that actually takes whatever the heck else you're doing and actually turns it into money online. So as soon as I refresh my brain here, we can actually get started with the presentation. Apologize.
People read copy or listen to your words in audio form, and that is also copy.
This is also copy. We'll get to that.
This is what persuades them to do things if the pictures don't do the job all by themselves.
There's of course that. Yes, that's important. Let's see. Did you actually post that if they want to ask questions, of course, people should ask questions.
Yes, if you want to ask questions, you should put them in the chat.
Yeah, that's what that chat is there for. So, all right, we will do the next step. Now that we actually got the Hangout live, the rest of it's, God, dare I say, not as difficult. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, come on now. Just go ahead and push the button. I have to push the button over here. Hang on a second. Oh, Corey's joined us. I thought you were like doing client stuff or whatever.
I am, but I also said, hey, I would get on the call, but I'll be running late.
Oh, sorry. All I saw was something else. Sorry, never mind. Well, you're just in time since we had the usual problem, so never mind.
Oh.
Leslie just hit start.
Oh, well, minutes ago, yeah, very few minutes ago. Okay, so here we are on the Hall of Mirrors. That's a particularly good one, too.
That's an impressive one. I like that one. You should just leave that up.
I know, let's not.
All right.
Fine, I know, yes. Let's go ahead and actually...
You are no fun.
And I really, that's a research item, by the way, for those of you watching at home, or wherever you are in your office. That's a research item. Like, how in the hell do we keep the Hall of Mirrors? Anyway, so okay, cool. So let's talk about copy, something we can actually control as opposed to Google. All right. So great, the final frontier. You're wondering why do I call it the final frontier? Because I have a Star Trek thing going on? No, not exactly. So in case you don't know this, websites do not actually sell. At least really horrible ones. We have several examples of those that really don't sell well at all. Funnels, marketing funnels. It's all the big thing recently, marketing funnels, and how complicated they can become with upsells and downsells.
You should get you a funnel.
We should definitely get you a funnel. If you don't have one, you should get one. But funnels by themselves do not sell. But guess what? Emails don't sell. We have lots of clients that use lots of emails. Oh, email just...
Sometimes they don't even get delivered.
Well, there's that too. That's another problem. But email by itself doesn't sell. It's copy that sells. Now, that copy can occur on your web pages, in videos, in, oh, God, I don't know, maybe even a Hangout. But it's the copy that sells. And no, a picture is not worth 1,000 words when it comes to copy. That's just not true. Pictures might get people to read your copy. And, you know, pictures are a great thing. Love pictures. Certain categories in particular. But that's not the point.
Pictures can help you create an emotional state, but you still are going to need some copy.
Yeah, they can lead to that emotional state. I mean, but really, in order to embed that thoroughly, and you know, you really have to have a copy. It's words, words, Roxanne. So here's what you'll learn today. And so this is my particular approach to teaching copy. What I call the 4 P's of great copy. You know, how copy is like a fine scotch, for those who are into liquor. There are several different kinds or uses of copy. We'll cover all of those because they all pretty much fit the same pattern. And then there's one and only one thing that actually trumps copy, and we'll introduce that very briefly because that's a whole nother deal by itself. And then it's really important to understand how your brain, not just yours, everyone's brain actually processes copy, how our brains process copy. Yeah, I did it right. Okay. But so here we go. Who is this for? Well, if you want to make money. No, I'm seriously, everyone. Everyone, if you want to make money, I don't care if it's your door-to-door salesman, right? The fact is, you're doing copy. It just happens to be well vocalized, okay? Copy is ultimately the source of all money. Period. Done. That's it. The simplest funnel in the world will make money if you have good enough copy. I have some examples for you. Now, these are from a long time ago, all right? So most of you on this call are probably not even old enough to know these examples. But last chance, send your dollar now is a real honest-to-God ad from the Houston Chronicle or whatever. It was in Houston, Texas. A newspaper ad, last chance, send your dollar now. I only found out about it after the fact. I didn't actually send a dollar. The guy promised nothing, delivered nothing, and got lots and lots and lots of dollars stuffed into envelopes. It was written up later on about how much money he made. It was, you know, in the day, it was like, you know, 5 figures, which is like a crap load of money back in the 70s or 80s. The other one is, you know, you can research this one. I expect there's a Wikipedia page about it. It was so stupid. It's the pet rock. I mean, I actually worked at this is how long ago this was, in a grocery store at the time. We were selling those damn things. A pet rock. I'm not kidding you. People bought them. They had little, like, houses and crap and had names on them, and it was insane. Or how about the Snuffit? This was even, in my view, was dumber. The Snuffit was a little tiny piece of porcelain, kind of shaped like a, sort of like a volcano with a hole in the middle. And what you do is you take one of these little things and you put it in your ashtray, so that instead of just like snuffing out your cigarette like every other lame person does, no, you actually like put this gently into the Snuffit, which extinguishes your cigarette. Those things sell, so this is a gangbuster. Very short. Now both, I'll point out, the pet rock and the Snuffit were fads. They didn't last long, and obviously last chance, send your dollar now worked exactly one time. So those of you following along at home, don't go do this. My point is, those were the dumbest ideas ever. They had no funnel behind them. They just had some actually pretty, honestly, frankly, pretty decent copy. Last chance, send your dollar now. But we'll get to this later about why long copy, there's a trick there about what constitutes long and what constitutes dense. That's dense copy. Who knows what it looked like to start with, but last chance, send your dollar now, that poked a whole bunch of buttons. All right, so moving on. Here's the kinds and uses of copy. And this should cover pretty much the entire gamut. If you're talking about a sales letter, a long-form sales letter, for example, we'll talk about just specific format for that. If you're doing a sales, that's really just a long-form sales letter spoken, although I'll cover a couple things you want to think about in terms of the presentation qualities. A lead item is a downloadable free report or an ebook or whatever. Wait, you know what? That's actually a sales item too, and we'll talk about that. And then finally, for those of you in e-commerce, product descriptions. Product descriptions, they have to sell. Okay, that's not just like blank space you filled up with random words, right? It's important to make that stuff work right. So let's get into it. So first we'll start with the 4 P's of good copy. And those are priorities, principles, practices, and patterns. I really love creating those kind of things. P's and Q's and X's things. Okay, here we go. So first of all, this is like the rock, paper, scissors of copy. Published beats not. The best sales letter in the world that you have actually posted online, that isn't really going to do it, right? The crappiest sales letter in the world is not going to underperform the one that you haven't published yet. So bear in mind as we go through this, you're going to learn a whole bunch of stuff today, I'm sure, and you're going to, oh my God, I have to go rework all of my copy, and oh, this is going to take forever. It's like, time out, guys. Make it better, publish it, do it again, make it better still. Published beats not published. That's the first thing. The other thing is, where do you want to focus on your copy? Now, for long form and for sales, for sales videos and things like that. Product descriptions a little bit different. Headlines beat body. That is to say, the stuff that they hit first, the big stuff at the top. You have to get that right. The body copy can be complete crap if your headline's good enough and you actually have a buy button, by the way. And then finally, something we will not talk about today, but this is the only thing that beats good copy, is the right offer. That's the thing. If your offer sucks, your copy can sort of kind of help it along, but your copy could be completely bad, and you had the best offer in the world, and you look like a winner. So just bear in mind, there's two pieces of this. Good offer actually is better than anything else. Copy, though, with an offer that's at least equivalent to what the market has, or it's a pretty decent offer, whatever, copy rules the day. So we'll talk about both those a little bit later. All right, so let's talk about principles. First of all copy is sales copy. That is to say, everything you write. And by the way, that slide right there, that's copy. You know, what am I trying to convince you with that slide? I'm trying to convince you to have a particular attitude, change your mindset, think about copy in a particular way. I'm persuading you. All copy is sales copy. Sales is just a shorter way of writing the word persuasion, which is really hard to spell unless you have a spell checker handy, right? All copy is sales copy. And that doesn't mean, you know, it's not just copy for business. It's copy. I mean, if you're at the PTA meeting and you want to have your way, you better have some good copy. You know, if you're in a bar and you like that girl, good copy. You know, all copy is sales copy. Now, to that end, probably already figured out the next bullet, not all sales are transactions. When people actually buy into your copy, when they actually say yes, they're not necessarily saying yes to a dollar figure. Maybe they're saying yes to, I'll go ahead and like you. Yes, you know, like button sense. Maybe they're saying yes to, I'm going to download that free report. Maybe they're saying yes to, I'm going to click to the next page. I mean, literally, when a person lands on your site and bounces, it means your copy didn't sell them on sticking around. Well, on the other hand, you may have specifically rejected them because it's not the right person, and that's true too. But if the right person lands on your website and they don't stick around, it means your copy didn't sell. Right? The other thing is we talk about, oh, I sell to X market, you know, and so I want to sell this product to women 35 to 45 that have 2 kids and a BMW in the garage. Oh, okay, great. That's fine. You know, market is an interesting thing to start with. But bear in mind that when you sell to person singular, not people plural. When you sit down to write copy, and we'll talk about this in just a minute when we talk about practice, you want to make sure that you're writing that to one individual. You know, I have this individual in my mind whenever I sit down to write copy. Actually, there's a couple different ones, depending upon what we're selling. Right? And you also, in that same context, you need to sell to benefit that person, not you. So what you do not want to do, ever, ever, ever do, is to sit down to write copy with the mindset that I need to sell this. And on the old days, we call that selling from your heels. That's, you know, when you're leaning back and about to fall over because your business is in dire straits. Okay, worst place to be mentally when you're writing copy. when you're writing copy, and actually when you're crafting your offer as well, the place you need to be mentally is you need to be all there, all in for that person, not for you. You know, there's no secret to that other than just doing it. Which gets, now, before we get into the practices, I'll give you a way to think about this a little bit. The way I do copy and the way I learned to do copy, and then several other people, you know, do it the same way, they don't describe it the same way, is how you make scotch. You know, how do you make scotch? Well, beer, wine, they're all made the same way. You create some sort of mush that has the right ingredients in it. But it's not like you'd want to drink that, by the way. Don't do that. If you're making beer at home, you know, don't take the wort and drink it. It's ugly and horrible. But then you have to let it ferment. You have to get it, you know, all those ingredients to kind of come together in some particular way. And then finally, you have to distill it into something that's strong, something that's concentrated, something that really has a kick to it, to get back to the Scotch analogy. And so, what's the process that I use personally, and that I've seen other people also talk about, but maybe not in that, you know, romantic context. So here we go. So first, start with your avatar. I mean, you have to be writing to person singular, and so we have a particular scripted process for doing that with our clients and with our private clients. I mean, our service clients and our private clients both. There's a guided interview process that we use. But you have to come up with, it's not just a 35 to 45-year-old female, no. It's a 38-year-old female named Joan who has a 2014 BMW, whatever, I don't know what the most recent ones are, or maybe she has an SUV because she has no, wait, you can't have 2.5 kids, I'm sorry. She has exactly 2 kids. One's a daughter and one's a son, and they are 7 and 10 years old. Sorry, you want to be absolutely thoroughly specific. Now, people argue with us a lot about this, about the avatar process. Why does it matter? You know, how many kids they have? What does it matter what car they drive? What does it matter what size house they have? Here's the thing. The way that person is going to connect with your brand is exactly, they will use exactly the same process that they use to connect with those other brands. And so if that person likes Gucci, you have to ask yourself why they like Gucci and will actually pay the price for one, as opposed to other people who will get the Gucci knockoffs because it looks like Gucci, but it's a far better value because it doesn't cost nearly as much. Right? So these are different mindsets, and they're using exactly the same algorithm to choose between Gucci, fake Gucci, or not looking like Gucci at all. They're going to use exactly the same process inside their brains, and we'll talk about brains in a bit, for choosing you. Okay? So if you're Gucci or fake Gucci within the context of your market, big difference. You need to know whether or not they choose Gucci or fake Gucci. The next thing is the other end of the spectrum. So this is the alpha and the omega. The alpha is the avatar. The omega is, what are you trying to do? What is the purpose of your message? What is the purpose of this copy? So if it's a real honest-to-God sales copy in the sense that it's selling something for dollars or your currency of choice, fine, great. That's a purpose, right? I want to make money from it. Well, I want to provide value and get money in return, right? Just to be clear, right? Just think about the person here. But still, you're going to make a sale. You want a person to go through a checkout process. Okay, great. That's not the only reason to write copy, as we already talked about. Maybe what you really need to be doing here is, okay, what do I want the person to do? I want to download the report. Is that sufficient? No, that's not the purpose. That's not the end purpose. If I have a lead gen item, on the sidebar of my blog or my main site or whatever, downloading the item isn't it. Oh, I have their email address, and that's the purpose. No, it is not. The email address is a beginning. The email address at least allows you to then get to consume the content. What is the purpose of that lead item? See, this is point number 2 here. what is the purpose of the lead item? The purpose of the lead item should probably be selling them on you, getting them into your tribe, getting them turned to your thinking about whatever it is that you want them to think about. That's the purpose of your writing. So the way you write that lead item and the way you write the email sequence that would get them to consume that lead item has to have the real purpose in mind. And that real purpose is not download the report. That's a step in the process, but that's not the purpose. The next thing is, whenever you're going to write something, and actually, if you're going to go into an interview, if you're going to have a significant conversation with an employee or a partner, right? You would outline, okay, this is who this person is. This is my purpose in that interaction, and these are the things I need to hit. These are the elements. Well, all sales has elements, and actually they're pretty much all the same elements. I'll give you some examples, but you want to make sure that you start with a list of all those elements, and I do it in Word outline mode, literally. I'll show you in a minute how I do that. The next thing is how you address those elements, and that's the key points. And so if you have as you'll find here in just a moment, if you're doing actual selling, right, scarcity and urgency are two things you have to be able to hit at some point. If you can't hit those, you're going to underperform relative to hitting them. And it's just because of the way the brain is wired. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. So if I have, as I do, in my outline, scarcity, and you'll see that in a minute, you'll see the outline, then I'm going to say, all right, how am I hitting the scarcity button? How is this copy going to hit scarcity? It's going to say, well, I only have 7 copies of that free download available. No, that doesn't work, does it? Okay. So I have a physical product, and I have scratch and dents, and so, hey, we just got these returns, and I only have 12 of these available. And because they're, the box is torn up a little bit or something, I can't, do these as a retail, but you can get them at this big discount. But I only have 12 of them. Okay? There's a scarcity play. Urgency play, you see this all the time. And this is where we make some special deal. We say, you know what? I'm not willing to leave this open for long. And we do this all the time. Internet marketers do this all the time. We did this recently, right? We said, you know what? And this was a legitimate issue, right? Doing some hiring, blah, 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 blah. So you know what? Oh, gosh. What I really need is I need to bring in 6 clients in a big hurry. And I'm willing to pay, to make that happen. I'm willing to, give a special offer, but only to 6 people. All right? And the other thing is I'm not going to leave that out there forever because I need to make the decision about that, in the next, I think it was 36 hours, whatever, 2 days, something like that. So I said, for 2 days only, the first 6 people. See, bang. I hit both points, right? Only 6, that's scarcity. Urgency, you have 48 hours to decide. If you have those things working for you, those are key. So whatever your outline elements, right? Then we'll get to the elements. Then you want to write in that, underneath that outline element, you want to write, what are the key points? How do I deliver on that element with the offer I'm currently doing, right? Now that's kind of the overarching. If you study speed reading, that's the opposite of the pre-read, right? Or the corollary. So we're doing writing in 2 steps here. The first thing is we want to have at least an outline of what we're writing to, so that our brain is prepared for the stuff we need to write, what we want to write about, instead of going off on some review of the Grand Canyon, right? Okay, we need to at least have some sort of structure, some sort of context. The next thing we want to do is we want to write without criticism. You want to write everything you can think about that has anything to do with that outline. And so I'm going to write, well, let's see, urgency, scarcity, and because, Dan's extraordinarily handsome, right? Okay, that's in the list. And because we're like fantastic people you should be connected with on an ongoing basis. And it's like, okay, I didn't actually write those, but if I did, those will get deleted, which is the next part. Delete at least half. Good copy is more about deleting than writing. Now, admittedly, most people have a problem with the writing part. I get that. But once you at least are able to allow yourself to free write, then the problem is you have too much stuff and you think it's all great. No, it's not. I say delete at least half. I probably always delete at least 2/3 in the reality of it. I mean, and it's not that you say, well, I'm going to take out this whole paragraph. That does happen, of course, right? Because I don't need to make this point, it's superfluous, I said this 3 times, I'll get rid of it. And if you're doing free writing, that's going to happen. Doesn't sound very efficient, but trust me, it is. Right? And so, but it's also going to be at the sentence level. Rearrange things, use fewer words, make the copy dense. And that gets back to the last chance, send your dollar now. Okay? Very dense copy. Of course, it's like paying per word in a classified ad in a newspaper. Right? But anyway, you want to make dense copy. And the only way to get there is to write as much as you can think of and then start deleting and delete deep. Right? So that's in terms of practice. There are patterns to this. This is formulaic. You do not need and should not try to invent new patterns for copy. If you do, and you're not a gazillionaire, then you're just fooling yourself. I'm sorry, right? I'm just, don't even think about, oh, well, I can do this better. Wrong, I know people who are far better than me, and I bow down to them, right? No, you need to actually follow the formulas. So let's talk about what those patterns are. And we'll tease out one of these in detail, and then on the others we'll talk about how they differ or how they relate. So first is long-form sales letter is the one that you'll see most written about. And so, Clayton Makepeace and Dan Kennedy, and the list goes on. There's a lot of really seriously good copywriters out there. Okay? A sales video is really just a reuse of a sales letter. However, there are some performance characteristics that are unique, and that's one of the reasons videos actually sell better than letters, in my opinion. Lead items are sales letters, and that's one of those things where I see a huge gap for people. They're special sales letters. If that lead item is only a sales letter, you just got a brand new unsubscribe. However, if you do it right, lead items are the best sales letters in the world. We'll get to that in a minute. Product descriptions are selling, right? They have to sell. Now, they're very short by comparison to a long-form sales letter, and so it follows a very different pattern. And we won't go into a lot of detail on that. That's probably an hour discussion all by itself, but I'll give you some things to look at there. And we probably actually ought to follow this up with some real examples of good and bad product descriptions and how to create them. But I'll at least give you the foundations today. Pardon me. So let's talk about the long form. And the long form is, well, long, so it takes 3 slides. And I'll go through each one of these pieces. So first, you'll always find there's a pre-head. And so that's usually in fairly normal type size, and it says something along the lines of, for all of you marketers who are not making enough online, read this all the way to the end. Or for all of you that want to lose weight and have been struggling for years, ... And immediately after that, in the biggest type that you can find, that'll actually fit above the fold. Don't get me wrong, so the pre-head, the promise, and the post-head have to fit above the fold on quote-unquote, average, browsers, right? The promise has to be a big result, and it can't be a little result. It's got to be a big result. Now, you should, obviously be aware of the Federal Trade Commission. Okay, granted, but how to get to your target weight easier than you ever thought was possible. Yeah, okay, maybe as a first draft, not bad. But what looking for more like something that's like numerical and adjective rich and like knocks your socks off. This should be something that a person reads that and says, OMG, I have got to have some of that. That's what you're after for the big result, and it has to be a result. It can't be a pain invocation. It's got to be something that it's like the let's see, what was one from a client here recently? It was exactly the wrong way, right? The top 3 reasons that your kids won't stop fighting. Well, that's not a benefit. It's like I don't need to know those reasons. They won't stop fighting. What's the point of me reading more about the stuff that's driving me crazy, right? Or why tantrums continued, despite your best efforts, or something like that. It's like, no, I don't want to hear about how it's hopeless. I close the browser window, hit the back button, not going to happen. Now so it needs to be a prompt. So to continue on that theme, let's say it's like, why tantrums are anyway. So maybe it's the pre-head. I'm making this up as I go here, right? So the pre-head might be something like, for all of you that have kids that are having tantrums, ... Here's 3 easy steps you can do in the next 20 minutes to actually reduce or maybe even cure that problem for good. See? Now I said maybe in it, so I'd probably get away, with doing whatever after that. The post head has to support the big result in some way. Now it's longer. You got like an entire paragraph. It's slightly larger than body copy. So if you're looking at the design characteristics here, if you're going to do say 12 or 14 point copy in your body, right? You're looking at probably 12 or 14, it's probably body copy size in your pre-head, and you're probably looking a little bit larger in your post-head, say something like 14 or 16. And then you're looking at a 24 plus, probably plus, probably 36 or 48, whatever you can fit, depends on how long your big result is. That's what, that's what's going to fill most of the first scroll, okay? What the post head needs to do is it needs to support the big result. It needs to make it real for the person that you can actually provide that. And there's various models for doing that. I think it's a little bit deeper here, but in general, if you had like one actual case study, for example, so let's talk about solving tantrum problems or whatever. In fact, in one particular, with one particular client, what we found was something like that. You find this all the time. Once you're aware of this pattern, just start following and reading all of us that are selling online using long-form sales letters. You'll find that we're all doing the same damn way. It's not, and why? Because it works. There's a formula, and you should do exactly the same thing. So those are the most important 3 pieces, and I'll get to that in just a minute about priorities. But so the next thing, we already covered priorities. Yeah, headlines sell more than body copy. So let's rip through the rest of these. These are available in the slides. We'll make these slides available along with a video replay. So next is identify with a prospect. People buy from people. Person buys from you. And so you need to make sure that you're like them, but not so much like them that they have nothing to learn from you. And so, I say this, if I'm selling to you, I'm the slightly future you. I'm the aspirational you. Like if you run a $500,000 a year business and I run $1 million a year business, then I'm like you because at least I don't run $1 billion business, right? So you have to ask the question, what can I teach you about running a business as opposed to what, I don't know, Richard Branson could tell you about running a business. Well, his business is like so big, right? What he teaches you right now, would it be applicable to your situation if you're starting out? Likely not. He doesn't even know probably 10% of the people in his company by name, right? Something like that. So you have to be like, but not exactly like, the person you're trying to pitch. Next, you need to clarify the pain, and be careful of this. If you go on too long, you will lose the person and they will leave, right? So don't clarify the pain too much, but clarify it enough that it really helps them identify with you to some extent. And then expose a solution. And this is very standard stuff. It's like, I know you probably just like me, you've had this problem, and you've tried a whole bunch of different things, and you probably had the same experience I had, but guess what? I finally found a solution. There you go. Not the best copy in the world, but it follows the pattern. Right? Then you have to make sure it is quote easy and quote fast. Now, easy and fast are relative terms. So if you want to lose 72 pounds in 7 days, that strains believability and probably is medicinally inappropriate, but medically inappropriate. But it needs to be at least within what the avatar considers easy and fast. Okay, so for example, Tim Ferriss, 4-hour work week. Okay, everyone's going, oh yeah, okay, 4 hours is easy and fast. If you're saying lose 7 pounds in 7 days, that's extraordinarily fast. But then you question, how easy is that? What do I have to do? If you say lose 7 pounds in 7 months, most people are not going to consider that fast. And so you've got to address those issues, and it's all within the context of what the avatar expects. And to some extent, bear in mind that your competitors have molded or guided what the avatar expects, right? So just bear that in mind. Now there's some fixed things like 1 hour, 1 week, 90 days, or actually 1 month, 90 days. These are like standard units of time that we're wired to process in a particular way. So if I'm going to have a meeting with you, I'm going to have a 1-hour meeting or a 30-minute meeting. I'm not going to have a 42-minute meeting. We don't even know how to process that. Same with pricing, which outside the context of what we're talking about here, but you're talking about pricing. It's like, am I going to price something at $94.50? No. Why would I? I could get 97 for it just as easily. Why would I throw away those $3, right? And so you have ambiguous numbers, like you can do this in 11.5 days. That's a dumb offer, right? It's going to make for a really hard copy too, by the way. So you have to figure out what easy and fast means within the context of your market. And the best way to do that is to understand your avatar deeply, which, oh, by the way, you have to do that. Okay? Well, let's just continue on with the rest. Then you want to be able to future pace their life with a solution. You can do this in first person. I tried just like you. I couldn't fix the problem. I finally found a solution. Oh my God, is my life wonderful now? And yours will be too. Just think about it. Once you have X solved, what is that going to mean in your life? Question mark. The question that a person answers for themselves instead of the answer that you give them is going to be more powerful. So do that. It's like once you learn, here we go, right? So way back in the day, I didn't have any idea how to write copy. I was an engineer, but I learned, and it took me a long time to do it. And in fact, I got so good at it that my own copy actually outsold something I paid real money for to somebody who was really advanced and well respected in the industry. Now think about it for yourself. What would happen for you if you got that good of copy? What would it mean for you if you could, in one day, sit down and write copy that actually sold like crazy? How would that change your business? How would that change your life? See, there's a real example of that. So now, why are and the next piece of that? So you want to be able to future pace that. You can do that as a bridge between your own experience and theirs. Right? Flows very naturally if you don't overthink it. That's a lot of what people do is they overthink it. Next is, why are you the person to help them? Now, bear in mind, you may have already answered that implicitly. So when you see something like this, as I do in my outline, right? If I just wrote that, I came to this part of my outline, I delete it because I already answered that. I just told them my story, right? Which impliedly tells them why they should follow me. Okay? Now you might bring it up later. It's okay. You can do a lot in PSs, for example, things like that. Then the next thing is you want to do benefits and proof. So, what are the benefits of losing 7 pounds? What are the benefits of, whatever, right? Getting those 6-pack abs? Here it is. It's almost summer. You're thinking about going to the beach, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and going, oh, wow, okay. I guess Thanksgiving and Christmas weren't as good for me as I thought. What am I going to do? Well, you know what? In just 7 days, I can get you back to where you need to be. And in 7 days more, you can even have that definition of your abs that, it's the envy of every man and the allure for every woman. Okay. By the way, that's not a real product. Anyway, the point is, you want to make sure that you can get those bullets And then proof, you want to be able to prove those bullets, and the best way to do that is so-called testimonials. Okay. Then make the offer, and you can have all this today for only single payment of $19.97. Not available in stores, only through a special web offer. What is that worth to you? That's where you valueize the offer. Now, something like weight loss, maybe you valueize it in soft terms. We'll get to the kind of real hot buttons here in just a little bit, but that's a really deep discussion. There's probably 2 hours of presentation just on those kind of things. But valueize in terms of what it's worth to them. So what would it be worth to you for you to get better copy? What would it be worth to you so that you didn't have to pay somebody else to do it with a copy? What would it be worth to you? You could gen that stuff out anytime you wanted to. Or how about you could build those lead funnels that you need to have, but you just haven't been able to get past the blank page to actually get them done. What would that be worth to your business? Well, think about it. You could start building an email list of rabid subscribers, people who are really after your special view of marketing or business or weight loss or whatever the hell you're into, right? And it's obviously this is another future pace, right? You're helping that person understand what's that worth them, and then you valueize that in real dollar terms. Would that be worth $1,000, $10,000, maybe more to your business over the next year? And you get it all for just $19.97. And then you always want, if you can, and sometimes you can't, but you want to try to stack with bonuses. There are a whole bunch of different ways to create bonuses. OMG, right? So the one thing you can do is you tell them it could be a lifetime thing, or it could be there's free upgrades associated with it, and God knows how good this will be getting to be in the future. Right? If you get in now, your price is locked in, and it'll be even better later. We use that constantly. Both of those, lifetime access and free upgrades in the future. Those work tremendously. You can also find where, let's say you're describing working with one client now, where you have this compendium course or whatever, but there's spin-off items. There's other things that are special cases. Well, this doesn't actually apply to everybody, so we didn't put it in the big course, right? But there's this other thing that maybe works for you, maybe is important in your situation. So obviously, we want to make sure that everybody has it just in case it applies to you. So bonus 1, bonus 2, bonus 3. Those can be deeper developments of a particular topic you've already covered, or they can be ancillary topics. So if I'm doing a copywriting course, and let's say I'm actually focused on long copy, okay, then maybe, okay, well, but there's some cases where you need medium copy, or maybe there's the how to turn this into video. And if I'm going to talk about how to turn it into video, hey, what are the presentation characteristics on video? How do you hold your eyes? What kind of motions do you use? What sort of hand gestures? What do you do with your hands? Are you going to do just the bust, or are you going to do full frame? Do you want to have something white behind you, or do you want to do green screen? But these are all the bonus items that would be in that kind of a context, right? And then finally, you name the price, and if you haven't done it already, okay, so there's some different ways, right? You can make the offer without actually naming the price, or you can name the price in the offer and valueize it later. So you can do this in any order, and so that's the reason I have it in the outline just in case. And again, reading through what I did as a kind of an off-the-cuff example, I got to this in my outline. I go, oh, I already did that. I'd remove it. On the other hand, if I did the offer and I valueized it and I stacked bonuses and then I told them the price, okay, that's another way to do it. What's the right way? There's no right way. Those are both patterns that work extraordinarily well, and I've seen them both. And by the way, sidebar, if you do not have a swipe file of every good offer you've ever seen, every good piece of copy you've ever seen, start one now. And so, I mean, literally, when I follow everybody, and sometimes I even read it, but whatever I read, I look, it's like, oh, that was kind of cool, the way they did that, or this is a good example of such and such. Now, there's two reasons for me to save it. One is, we could use it ourselves in our own company. The other is I can use it as examples for clients. And that happens probably more often than the first one, now that I think about it. But whichever the case, I have a /document/swipe file, and so whenever I'm looking at one that I really like, and I won't necessarily like the whole thing, but I want like some particular thing about it. I hit, web page, save as, or whatever it is, in Firefox or Chrome, whichever one I'm in, and I save the entire thing. If I'm ever out of ideas, there's my swipe file. You need one too. If you're going to write copy, you need one. If you're not going to write copy, you should just retire. So justify the price, high or low. We already kind of got to that. It's about possibly, valuizing it. So, it's maybe redundant, but sometimes depending upon where you are in the process, this makes sense. And then we already talked about scarcity and urgency. If you don't have scarcity and urgency, so like a lot of e-commerce vendors are not, sorry, on their product page, like order now in the next 37. Well, okay, wait. Actually, Amazon does that, right? Order now and get it by Monday. That's an urgency play. Now, everybody knows that, well, if I don't order it now, I'll get it by Wednesday. True, but I want it now, okay? And so, yeah, that's an urgency play. You can make that work as long as you have sufficient technology on your page, right, to do it. We actually did this for a client where we added in their shopping cart, we added estimated delivery time. Now, we added a bunch of other things as well. We took out some interstitial page that didn't belong. We did a bunch of other things like that. So can I say that one thing, how much that one thing created is increased? I cannot. However, I will tell you it went from 10% to 13%. And that's for those of you doing the math, that's a 30% growth in business. Now, how much that one thing contributed, can't tell you. We didn't have enough. We didn't have enough frequency on that order page to actually do a quote-unquote split test, and it would have been hard to do anyway because it's a hosted cart. So setting that aside, we did it from first principle. We did that conversion, that change from first principles. Okay. Reduce risk. Okay, so that's where we are. Money back offers, guarantees, performance guarantees. I mean, if I don't make you this much money in the next 90 days, I'll work for you for free until I do. I actually did performance-based SEO back in the day with exactly that offer. If you can build up this huge greed factor, right, and then take away the fear by doing a risk reversal or a risk reduction, you win. So wherever you can, obviously reduce risk. Now there are several ways to do that. Obviously, if you have zero cost of delivery, like information marketing, then you say, you know what, you can refund in the first 30 days, and there's nothing even to send back, so you go so and keep it. I can't be more fair than that. I'm taking all the risk myself and none of it on you. But standard catchphrases. You're bound to. The reason they roll out my tongue is because I've read them so many times, and you probably heard them too. If it's a physical product, obviously you can't really do that, or shouldn't. You could, but you shouldn't. But you could at least do, like, I don't know, free return shipping, or at least do,
well, you can on lead items, Leslie, and that's
true.
That's when you sign up for the Dollar Shave Club, right? They don't want the blades back if you don't like it. They just want you to get one the first time, because after that it's very easy for you to keep receiving them, and there's always the friction of stopping it. But you're going to see that more with continuity items, like a monthly razor blade subscription or a pill subscription or something like that. But no matter what it is, if it's a lead item, generally speaking, that's something that you don't want back and don't need back and isn't worth getting back.
Exactly right, Dan. I mean, that's a good point. You mentioned pills. I mean, there's lots of guys selling pills online that do exactly. In fact, I've seen one where there's some weird combinations, right? Where they did a really good job of figuring out the overlap in demographics, and I'll talk about another example that's just a moment, but where if you order, and I forget what it was, I want to say it was a hair growth product I found or something like that, but if you order the hair growth product, they also, wait for it, throw in a Viagra. It's like, wow, gee, let me think. Yeah, who needs hair growth, right? And so, and I don't know how they actually get away with that. I mean, that's a prescription drug, but no telling. They're probably overseas, right? But something like that, where you've identified that there's something that's really going to amp up the sale, that's kind of in the bonus category rather than risk reduction. But there are things like that you can do even as a physical products, vendor. And then the Dollar Shave Club, that guy's brilliant, and that's the best marketing ever. You take something that's like, oh, my product is too boring, it's a commodity. Really? Razors is not a commodity? Look at his marketing. It's obviously not a commodity. It's just
it doesn't matter if it's a commodity. They've identified a pain point. The television ads that they run now are great. You got a guy in the drugstore trying to buy razors out of the secure lockdown razor blade.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the other one, and this one I just found recently, and so it's called Black Rifle Coffee. And here's another example. This is a little bit of a sidebar, okay, so bear with me. But Black Rifle Coffee. Go look it up, okay? And so what they figured out is there's a whole bunch of like wannabe commandos in the United States. And I mean, as a gun enthusiast, I see this. Everyone's into their AR-15s. Me too, whatever. But I mean, to be a real commando, you have to have the right brand of coffee. And so Black Rifle Coffee has coffees that are named by like the smoothest roast is called Silencer, and there's one called AK-47. Anyway, it's you got.
That's just building a brand based on personal identity that people have an emotional connection to.
Exactly.
Very easy thing to do.
Absolutely, understand your avatar. One of our clients a couple of years ago may actually come back in on different business.
We should rebrand our SEO services Open Carry SEO.
We should. That's really good. Not bad. Anyway. God. Anyway, yeah. Freedom SEO. Everyone loves freedom. So,
Corey's about to quit again. Let's not do that.
One of our clients for a long time sells wine racks, and so we talked about that. It's like, and the demographic was people typically middle-aged and older men with high disposable income who really like fine wines, so much so that they actually store like 100 bottles in their basement. Right? So what else then I might like? Well, they like travel, and they like food, and they like cigars. So when you're thinking about their avatar, these are the things that are going to come up. It's like, what else do they relate to? And that's the same reason we want to know, is that woman that you're targeting buy a Volvo or an or a sports car? I mean, it matters tremendously. And even if she has 2 kids, she could still buy a sports car, but she has a different viewpoint, and the kids are a different age to typical regulations. But so there's some things about that. We're just thinking about what your avatar is going to suggest you how to write to them. And also, by the way, again, a little beyond what we're talking about here, what else you sell them, and if you're selling wine racks, don't sell them wine. Sell them wine tourism, sell them food, or something about food, and sell them something about cigars. So, let's see, where are we? Reduce risk. If you can do a risk reversal or risk reduction, it always makes you more money. And some of the things that we studied way back in the day, back when I was learning copywriting in the 90s, is like the difference between doing a 30-day money-back guarantee, a 90-day money-back guarantee, and a 1-year guarantee. And many of you are thinking, it's like, oh, well, I wouldn't do a 1-year guarantee ever. Well, on a physical product, obviously we want to think that through maybe a little bit, although one of our clients does something almost exactly like that, by the way. But always, 90 will beat 30. A year will generally beat 90 as well. The longer the risk reversal, the more sales you will make. And most people won't send it back. I mean, I did one promotion where I had to change the pricing because of some changes in the way search engines work and stuff like that. Way back, this was in 2003, and I still saw it popular. And it was going to mean that people who just bought from me this upgrade were suddenly going to potentially qualify for a refund. I think 3 of them asked, right? I mean, most people didn't notice or didn't care. I mean, the reality is you can change your pricing, you can change your offer, you can change all sorts of things. People aren't going to notice. So just, don't worry about that. And they're certainly not going to send stuff back to you. Some will. That's a true statement, but more risk reversal means more total sales, and not equivalently more refunds. Then finally, you can, and this is, I mean, sometimes I do this and sometimes I don't. If I do it, I make it short, and that is to reinvoke the pain. And here's the reason. I want to get these people up to an endorphin high, right? But I don't want to, like, get them in a bad place. And so I want to remind them of it just enough that they go, no, I don't want to go there, and then I tell them to take action. Because if you were to, like, reinvoke the pain totally, you're going to take them down from that state, and you're going to put them back in the muck and mire where they started before they started reading your headline. And I want them there because in that place, they're in a place of scarcity, and they're not going to make a purchase. Okay? So just bear in mind, if you can reinvoke the pain, make it short, and then pull it away as quickly as possible. Then tell them to take action. A lot of people, I mean, that's on the list. You should tell them to take action throughout the letter. You should have a damn buy button at least like 14 times in a long, well, okay, maybe that's a bit much, in a long-form sales letter. But you have to tell them to take action. You know, why do most salesmen fail to make sales? Because they don't ask for the sale. Things are obviously in the world, but hey, I did that too way back in the day. Okay? So that's the long form. Now all right, so maybe you're not doing long form. That's okay. You know what? This is like a complete compendium of everything you need to do in order to make a sale. Depending upon your context, you can shorten this up. So before we get to that, there are two things which are almost magic bullets. And so first of all, anything that is new is going to appeal to so-called early adopters. And if you want to look at this, search Wikipedia for diffusion of innovation. Okay? And that is to say that there's the people who are looking for the new stuff. And these are the people who waited in line to get an iPhone 6 Plus. Okay? And then there's the people right before that, right, that will adopt it, but not quite as early. Social proof is for everyone. And we're all governed by social rule, not maybe even rule, though maybe I won't go that far. So, and I've said this for years, I could sell crap in a box. I could tell you that in the box there was crap. And you would still buy it if I had enough people tell you how wonderful the crap was. I mean, it's inconceivable that something like that could work, and maybe one of these days I'll have to actually try it to pay off on the bet. But the fact is that with social proof, you can sell anything.
It's called fertilizer.
Exactly, it is, absolutely. That's what you're saying. You know, shit's not a cuss word, it's actually an industry-specific term for us people who own horses. And so those are magic bullets. I mean, to the extent to which something is new and has lots of social proof, you rule the day for depending upon the market, right? So people who are, stodgy bankers are not necessarily new; they're repelled by it. Okay, whereas people in the high-tech community on the leading edge of something, or like warrior forum addicts or something like that, new rules them. Right? Just bear that in mind. Who you're selling to. So let's talk about the ways to take the long-form model and actually use it in other places. So first of all, lead items as sales letters. Now, if it's only a sales letter, I think I'm going to mention that, then you're going to get a bit, you're going to get 100% unsubscribe, and you deserve to. However, if you do it the right way, a lead item is your best sales letter ever. Okay? You still want to do some of the things that are the same. You want to do a pre-head filter. You could skip it, but then you're operating under the assumption that actually people saw your call to action. And if they passed it around, so if Bob sent it to Sue, Sue didn't see your website, she's just seeing your lead item. And so it still might would say, for all of those, you have failed to make money in social media and really want to learn how, ... or whatever, something like that. So that pre-head filter, just like an order page. Big promise. In this free special report, you're going to learn the 7 steps that you can implement in just the next hour and a half in order to get big money from social. Not a real product, okay? And then the body is going to deliver on that promise. You don't really need a post head. You can use a post head if you want to. But what's in the body needs to deliver on that. You really need to tell them how to get what was in the promise. So bear in mind that promise is not the same promise of what you're going to sell at the end. It's got to be a piece of it, a lightweight version of it, or something. This actually works even better. Is uh, related but not the same. And so, um, for example, let's do. Uh, let's say I'm going to tell you how to write long-form sales letters, and I'm going to do a PDF that tells you everything you need to do, all the pieces, and it's probably about, if I say all the pieces, 40 pages long, right, with some links out. But anyway, so at the end of 40 pages, then I'm going to offer to show you how to do long form for video, how to take a long form format and do it in video, and what the differences are, how you shorten it up, because you don't want to have a video that would take as long to read as, that does not work. That's too long a video. It's not going to sell well. And what about the visual dimension? In a long form sales letter, you only have the text. You don't have the intonation of your voice. You don't have your mannerisms. You don't have your eyes on the camera. What do we do about those things? There's a whole bunch of other things that you need to learn if you want to do videos. So if you want to do long form sales letter, I just gave you everything you need. But if you wanted to actually take that to video, then click here and sign up today. Right? That would be a case where I took something for free and I related it to something else that, let's face it, everybody wants. Right? So that's how you want to do that. Now you want to make sure that if you look at the totality of that lead form item, you don't want to be taking more than 10 or 20% of that lead item for the sales message. And that the smaller amount you can do, actually, the better. Usually that means you don't shorten up the sales message, instead you lengthen the amount of free content. This is what we call results in advance, like a free line, about giving your best stuff away. All those are things you must have heard if you studied online marketing. They work. Right? But a lead item is really, or should be, a sales letter. So if you have a lead item that's not selling at the end, what's the point? I mean, you should at least do that right then when the person is most engaged with you. Now, email sequence after that to get them to consume it, because a very relatively small percentage of people who actually download the item will open it, ever, let alone right away. You want to do that too, and in the emails, there's also a sequence there, and that's yet another application of copywriting. Okay? Winning product descriptions, that's the next thing. We'll cover this very briefly. But there are several things you need to do with product descriptions. You have very little time to do it. And I wish I had some examples today. We'll do that as another hangout. We'll focus specifically on product.
Hey, Leslie, real quick on lead items in terms of consumption.
Yeah.
One of the things that I tested a long time ago in a number of different ways was when I took SEO Fast Start from a paid product to a free product. One of the first things that I did was, try to shorten the message and have a kind of the quick short message just to get people to opt in, and I was able to increase the opt-in rate. But back in the good old days, you could actually have a PDF phone home, and the long sales letter before the free was clearly better. I mean,
yep.
2 to 3 times better in terms of actually getting people to download and consume, because I wanted maximum want for the content of the book. And so it's easy to get people to give up an email address, particularly if they're not planning on checking it. But the long form sales letter, the longer sales message, clearly performed better in actually getting people to read the book, which was kind of the whole point of the operation. And I mean, if you look at it in terms of dollars per lead, I went from about $8 to about $30 by actually running a longer sales message than I'd been running when I was selling it.
Yeah, and that's a really good example, man. Yeah, and of course, you want to replicate a lot of that sales message in the email. The email follow-up sequence as well. That's
remind them of the reasons why they wanted it.
Yeah, and basically, go through the whole process and read the form. That's one of the, there are 2 or 3 of our private clients where that's one of the things we're working on is the so-called consumption sequence. Just because they download it doesn't mean they're going to consume it. There's something that Frank Kern's talked about recently as well. Going after them with the email and get them to actually do it. That back in 2002 when I released OptiLink, that's what I used. I had the set of, I don't know, 7 secrets, or I don't know what it was. Anyway, there was a manual that went along with it. Right? And the email sequence was really a kind of a remorse remover sequence for the purchase of OptiLink. But what it did is it walked people through chapter by chapter, the book that they got along with the software. Pretty standard, cut and dried writing. There was nothing in the email that was any different than the book, and kind of summarized it, told what the benefits of understanding that aspect of the software and ranking analysis, and gave them another link to the to what they ought to read. And so, just brain dead simple. But in the day that I launched, it was kind of a busy few weeks. I didn't have that. And I think it was only 6 weeks in, something like that, I finally got all that working correct. But maybe it was sooner than that, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. But that it makes a tremendous difference, not just in your refund rate or return rate, but also in customer support issues. Right? The more you engage with those people, the more information you give them, and links to where they can get that stuff, that's huge. And I'll say it again, every product is an information-rich product. If people buy a treadmill from you, it's not like suddenly they're going to start using the damn thing, or that they know what workout routines they should use, or anything. They're not. You just assume they know nothing. And so sending them a sequence of emails on a physical product, absolutely the most wonderful thing you could possibly do. So, well, you could call them personally. That would be better. Let's talk briefly about product descriptions. These are a little different because they're so damn short, and so you don't have a whole bunch of sequence exactly in that description. What you do have are things that you need to hit. You need to understand the purpose of it. And so there's 3 things here. There's a whole bunch of others. We could talk about, and probably should on a future hangout. So first of all, the notion of sorting for difference. So if they're on your site and you have more than one product, let's assume you have more than one product, right? How is this product different than the other one? Not in terms of, well, this one's like 36 inches and that one's 24 inches. How is it different in terms of benefit to me? How am I going to use that one different? And one of the items I'm thinking of right now, one of our customers, is artwork, wall hangings, big wall hangings. So maybe this one is a really gentle, soothing one that would be great for your bedroom. Whereas this one is a wild, almost disruptive item that's going to be the focal point for an entertainment space. Right? That tells me that these are different in that way. Right? On the other hand, sorting for likeness, you might say this is like some of the ones that we have, but different color. Right? This would be a really good item for a situation like this, but not so much that. You're doing both of those at the same time. That's the whole notion of sorting for difference in likeness. You want to do that in order to help people choose the right product. Okay, and so returning to treadmills, if you're an avid runner as opposed to a newbie, or someone who runs only 2 or 3 times a week, or somebody who runs every single morning, right? This one is going to hold up longer for you, or is that this one is a lot more economical because you're not going to use it as much. Those kinds of things. And then finally realize that emotion is what makes the sale. Listing the sizes and how big the motor isn't going to do it. That's sorry. Well, the size of the motor on a race car or a sports car does make a difference, but the size of the motor on a treadmill does not. Probably the weight of the fabric or the canvas used on a painting is probably not something that matters. You got to get to the emotional aspects of the sale. And again, that's about understanding the avatar. Right? So product descriptions, they are sales messages. They have to be extremely dense. You got to do a lot of deletion after you've done at least some amount of free write. But think about, and not like, oh, this picture is blue and green, and it's 36 by 48. Yeah, that's what I got. No. How am I going to use it? Where would it be appropriate? What kind of other colors would it go with? You see, that's the application. That's sorting for likeness and difference. Let's see what we've gotten to. let's talk about all copy and how your brain and everybody else's brain is processing that copy. So, and there are various different ways, and these are just models. These are not actual levels of the brain. Just bear that in mind, okay? These are ways of kind of understanding some of the processing that's going on in the brain. So the first one, we talk about the lizard brain, and everyone talks about the lizard brain. Okay, and we'll talk about that as well. That's the kind of the deepest level. That's the most primitive part, down here somewhere. Then there's the veneer, which is really kind of right up here at the frontal lobe. And then finally, there's things that connect the veneer and the lizard. Now, this is my model, like I said, pretty simplified. Let's talk about each one of those in sequence. So, first, the lizard only knows how to do 3 things. This is the most simplistic brain, the portion of the brain that we have. It's the one that decides whether or not it's a danger or not. And if it's a danger, whether we're going to fight or flee from it. That's it. And so that's the safety component. And so anything that you put in safety ultimately ends up invoking lizard, and we'll talk about that when we talk about connecting. Or can I eat it? Now, when we talk about eating at the lizard level, we're talking about literally eating. We talk about it at higher levels, we'll talk about it in just a minute. Eating can mean sustenance, okay? And sustenance, once you start getting into Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and if you don't know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I invite you to Wikipedia, Maslow, M-A-Z-L-O-W. Very important stuff to understand as a marketer, or actually a relationship coach too, by the way. And so, then finally there's mating, right? Because every lizard and every other living thing needs to procreate. That's the purpose of life, is to create more life, and you're really down to it. Okay? Those are the 3 things that are the 3 programs that are operating in the lizard brain. That's the only thing the lizard brain actually knows how to do. Now the veneer is the one that we think we're doing. It's all the way back out to the front. So we have logic, and we have reason, we have duty and responsibility, and even, I hate to be this callous, but love and caring. Those are not lizard brain ideas. Mating is not love. I don't know if, for those of you who do not know that yet, you must be very young, but those are different ideas. And so these high concept feelings that we believe we have are, well, they're a little deeper than skin deep, but they're not very, very deep. They're about that deep. I mean, it's that layer of brain that surrounds the rest. And as salespeople, we need to understand that when we address logic, yeah, but what does that get converted to? And that's where we get to connectors. And so these are not all of the connectors, right? But what does it mean when we say ego? Well, ego relates to several things in the limbic or lizard brain, right? It relates to the ability to mate at will. It relates to the level of sustenance one expect to get, and it relates to safety. Right? So does status and prestige. These are things which, at a high concept, they get converted through the levels of our brain to the things that actually make decisions, cause action. So if you can, envision this, so what happens is the message hits the high-level brain, gets filtered down and transformed and translated into the simple language of those 3 programs, and then a reaction gets bubbled back up, and we rationalize our choice. And so let's think about what does, in the lizard brain, wealth and happiness, where do those end up? Good question. Wealth is probably feeding and mating, right? And probably a little bit of security as well. The person who buys a Volvo or something that actually had really high crash test rating, they're doing that from a fight or flight position. The person who's buying the tricked out, high performance sports car is not making that decision from a position of security. They're making that from either feed or mate, more likely mate. A person who wants to accumulate wealth, wants to accumulate savings. Why do they have savings? Why do they have this big-ass 401k? It's probably about feed. Okay? It's about sustenance, maybe about security as well, fight or flight.
A lot of that stuff. This is really, really why the avatar is so important.
Yep.
Because if you can get into this, then you can actually understand what it is and why it is that they're making their decision.
Absolutely right, Gord. Absolutely right. You know, this is the foundational way, and I don't have this slide in here, but we ultimately all make decisions emotionally and then rationalize them rationally. That's what it's called, rationalize. You know, we justify after the fact. Now, you always, I mean, Rand Dice has written about this, you do gain, fear, and logic. And, I mean, he's throwing logic in there, frankly, as a band-aid. Let's face it. I mean, if I can really thoroughly hit all three of those, I don't need logic. It doesn't really exist. Logic gets transformed into something else, one of those three right there. And if you really go after greed and fear sufficiently, you're going to cover all of them. But we can't really always deal with all those, right? So we really do have to, at some point, probably make a logical argument, because what happens is the way people take that reasoning layer and transform it into their lizard brain is going to vary dramatically based upon this particular person and in general the avatar. And so just bear in mind that what Ryan teaches is the gain, fear, logic sequence within specifically within email promotion. Yeah, I mean it's a great idea. You just really want to. And by the way, it gives so-called Cary Grant line. It's like, well, of course, Bob, this makes the most sense for your business. I mean, look at what this is going to do to your gross profit margin. You're going to get this and that and benefits. And so as you jump into the future by a year, your whole business is going to be transformed. This makes total sense, right? I mean, economically, how could you justify not doing this? Right? So there's a logical argument there, and Bob's going to transform that into probably some combination of those three lizard brain programs. And we don't know what he's going to do, and ultimately don't care. If we've already hit him by, you obviously want to make more money online, I mean, duh. And if your competitors do this and you're not doing it, you're gonna be in sad shape. And let's face it, you owe it to your family. That's actually a high level concept, but it probably gets to mating at some point, right? So if you already hit those things, then you give him the logic reason. And he's going to transform that using his own internal programs to get the lizard brain thinking. And if you did it right, he's going to buy it. So let's cover the key points. We've gone a little bit long, but it's a big topic, so I apologize for that. So first of all, it's words that sell, not pictures. Pictures maybe get people to read the words. And don't get me wrong, I love pictures as a way to get people to read the words, right? Selling is ultimately irreplaceable. If you don't know how to sell, just give it up and go do something else. And we are all born to be sold. Right? Bear that in mind. We want to be sold. We're always after something else. We're always on the hunt. The lizard brain is on the hunt all the time. And what that transforms to is we want new stuff. We want new capabilities. We want the future to be bigger than the present. Those are all things that we're wired to have, and that means we're looking to be sold. There is a formula. I mean, things we covered here, obviously pretty fast overview. There's a whole bunch more information out there. I mean, a lot of it that I processed, right? I'm just regurgitating my view of it and my own experience of it. And I will tell you this, it is 100% learnable, and here's a real case in point. First of all, I'm an engineer. I mean, I grew up as a geek. I learned trigonometry when I was in the 4th grade. My dad actually had a Van de Graaff generator and a vacuum system and built a diode one summer. And this was in the 60s. I'm not a salesperson by birth or whatever, right? I learned copywriting from Marlon Sanders in the mid-90s from the amazing formula that sells products like crazy, I believe was the over-the-top headline. And by the way, good headline, right? So in fact, in 2002, my sales letter for OptiLink actually outsold the one I paid for from someone who's, no fault to him, frankly. He was a good guy, right? But still was one of my top affiliates. In January 2007, my email copy, thanks very much to Frank Kern, who coached me through some stuff, sold more units of an $800 a month membership than the other promoters that were invited to the party, which there were 6, including one person, a very well-known marketer. They'd been at it a long time, a lot long time with me, and his list was 10 times the size of my list. Why? Well, I was teachable, and I actually followed the formula. If you follow the formula, it works, and is not difficult. Trust me. I use copy as an engineering tool, and you can too. Now, half of my private clients today, the ones that work with us one-on-one at the Marketer's Brain Trust, we work almost exclusively on copy, about half of them. Right? It is me. I'm not exactly a pleasant person. Go ahead, Dan, Corey, chime in. But,
You are not a pleasant person.
Thank you. That was great. Good cue. And so...
no comment.
Yeah, no comment. Here we go. So, I can write good copy, and I learned it. It was totally learned from scratch. I certainly could not when I started in the early '90s. All right, you can learn it too. It's actually straightforward. So, if you want to have help with that, and I encourage you to get it because good copy, whatever it costs, the ability to write good copy will transform what you do online. There's many people who do nothing but write good copy. You do it for a fee. Generally, it's like a retainer plus a percentage.
There are a lot of businesses that are based solely on the fact that the person that started it is a good copywriter, and if that weren't true,
there would be no business. Yeah, let's face it, affiliate marketing. If your entire business model is based upon getting people to go to a sales letter, right? Copy is 100% of your business. Whatever your business is, copy is a big piece of it. Yes, layout is important on product pages for an e-commerce site. Don't doubt it for a second. But if your copy sucks, layout's not going to rescue it. So this is obviously an offer, right? If you want help with it, just email me and we'll talk about what that would look like. But otherwise, we're now open for questions. We've got a quarter to the hour or whatever. Yeah. But
there's another thing that's important to realize, especially if all you worry about is SEO. That good copy will help with your title tags and meta descriptions to get them primed for landing pages if you're not paying to drive that traffic. And most people write really horrible title tags and meta descriptions.
No, that's true. Yeah, like with pipe characters and stuff like that.
I always do searches in Google with pipe characters.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's one of my favorite keys. It's almost worn out. Yeah.
I just want to throw out one quick copywriting tip because, there's someone out there listening to me right now that if they go and look at their homepage and they read the first words, it'll say something like, at blah, blah, blah company, we're the world leaders at blah, blah, blah. And yes, you are the world leader at blah, 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 but it's a very big tie with a whole bunch of other people that have done the same thing. Look for places where you're saying us, me, our, ours, and make it about them because it is about them and not about you. Thank you.
Indeed.
That's all I have on that.
Great, and that public service announcement from Dan, because that gets to it's like, remember that you're writing for the avatar and you're writing to help them, not yourself. And so if that's true, why are you describing your damn company, right? That has its place on your site. You'll notice that the why you should listen to me, you will not find that in any of my presentations. The only one that and this one was the only one I've actually done that, and it was where? At the end. Just saying.
Give me 30 seconds, and if you don't think you should listen to me, there's nothing else I can say about it, and that 30 seconds isn't going to be about why you should listen to me. It's about what's in it for you. Exactly. What are you going to get out of this talk? What are you going to get out of reading this? What is the benefit to you?
Indeed. And that's a good point. One of the ones I left out was, although it's kind of embedded in the whole question about video, but is webinar. You see almost 100% of people do webinars wrong. They'll do sound check, and that takes 5 minutes. It seems like, maybe it's not that long. And then they'll tell who they are and show pictures of their kids in their house. It's like, you know what? I'm not getting the relevance to me. All right? And then they'll say how there's going to be so much content they really better get on with it, and that takes 5 minutes to say. It's like, well, okay, time out. I'm already done, right? Instead, why don't we say, this is what you're going to get, and this is who it's for. Oh, that's a great idea. I should have done that in this presentation. Huh. And then get on with it. And maybe you give a little bit up front if this is a person who you assume is not new to you or you need to actually bring out who you are. Make it short, because it doesn't frickin' matter. If your headline is right, people are going to read your stuff or watch your webinar, even if you're nobody, even if they have no idea who you are. They're going to at least see if you're not full of it. And that's the key in copywriting. So
it's easy to make copy that's too long, and it really is hard to make copy that's too short.
Yeah, true enough. True enough. Yeah.
You know.
Let's see, what questions we have here? Abraham Maslow, not Maslow. Thank you, Walt. Yeah. Spelling, not my big suit. Would you introduce video as copy, one product at a time, to supplement the product description? I was saying you're basically using video on product pages, I think is what Bob is asking for. Would you introduce video as copy, one product at a time, to supplement the product description? Yes. Oh, videos on product pages? Hell yeah. I mean, one of our marketing partners, Tree Podia, he does that, and those things actually appear to work despite the fact they're fairly simple.
Even the product videos that are literally just made of, the whatever that, the Apple effect that they used to do on the screensaver with the product images, increase conversion because it moves. And those, it's literally no value added to the content at all. It's just multiple views, and it moves, and so it gets you to look at the damn thing. You can do better than that, but you can actually do copy that talks about, here's what I've got, right? And you can hold the thing in your hand. Here's what it's going to do for you, and here's how you get one. You can do that in a matter of less than a minute with most products.
So Don said Leslie's phone call impressed me. So I don't know what that was about, but anyway, thank you, Don. If it impressed you in a good way, I'm not sure. So let's see.
And you have to ask, because you are not a pleasant person.
It's like, I fully admit it. I mean, it's a problem.
At least we don't have to live with you. That's
what happened to Dan's hair, Chelsea? Why does it look different? I don't know.
Yeah, well, you remember, because you were having all the technical problems, I was trying to have a bad hair day.
Yeah, exactly. At least it distracts people from the technical problems.
Sneaky run and get a comb.
Yeah, well, like a copy email. Let's see. I may have to leave it off. But like a copy email. Workarounds on top of workarounds. Yeah, right. So let's see here. So, I'll change it. Let's see. I'm getting through most of the technical problems here. Good. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Maybe there's some benefits to GoToMeeting. Yes, right. Yeah. You guys have so much more professional. You always started a few minutes early instead of a few minutes late. Don, if we could only figure out how. I mean, they keep changing the rule. Okay, it's Chinese baseball. And Terry, no, we've never had, literally, have never had one webinar jam issue. So thank you, Andy and Mike. But never had one webinar jam issue. We continue to have.
Webinar jam is not the problem at all.
It's Google. I mean, if that's the doing of not evil, God, I'm glad they're not doing evil. That's all I'm saying. So,
yeah, because evil's bad.
Yeah, apparently. Worse than what they've got. So that's, I mean, it don't look like we, I mean, if you have any questions before we sign off here, then we've got a couple minutes yet.
Leslie, I thought I'd throw out one important story because, obviously when you have new powers, you can use them for good or you can use them for evil. You can try to find the balance in between. I don't know if you ran into this guy at Green exclamation point event number 1, but he had acquired. So there was this company that was making camping gear, and they had this multi-tool that they'd made. That's like the thing that carry around in your pocket, and it's got some pliers, and there's 95 different tools in it. So this one had been designed a little bit poorly in that there was this big metal spike that they referred to as a leather punch that if you opened and closed things in the wrong order could actually get stuck. And so you could have this multi-tool with a metal spike that just would never come out of it. And so what we came up with, and he was going to try and liquidate these things on eBay because he'd acquired them for basically by picking up a pallet of them with a truck. And so what we came up with is what doesn't kill you can only make you stronger. So this is the multi-tool that will probably make you stronger, but probably won't kill you. And he sold about 30 of them on eBay before they shut down his account. So that's $8 times 30. Yeah, well, he was selling a defective product that he knew was defective because he was claiming it was defective. And
I see. So, okay. All right. Okay.
So sometimes good ideas are bad.
Sometimes, yeah.
And that's all I got for today.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that we've had those. I'm trying to think of one in particular. We thought, this was going to be killer. This is going to be great. And it just, it didn't work out well at all.
So Walt asks why the screen keeps going blurry periodically. I would get to a doctor right away.
It's
either that or video compression algorithms. I'm not sure.
It could be that, or it could be the autofocus going crazy on my Logitech. I'm not sure.
Nobody can see you.
Oh, I guess I'm in the lower window, yeah. So, no, it must be... If it's the slide that's going fuzzy, then, Walt, that may be...
I said you might want to...
You've taken too much Viagra, Walt, if you ordered a bunch of those things that came with the...
hair stuff.
That can cause vision issues.
Yeah. But hopefully your hair is doing great. Yeah. So, that's...
It's never looked
You could tell. His hair is so high up there that almost no one can see it.
It's true. You have to get a lantern. Okay, great. Do we have anything to add before we sign off for today?
Well, seriously, if you've got a business and you think that you can benefit from getting some help with copywriting, and Leslie, give yourself a little bit more credit. This is about conversion and not just copy. But you have nothing to lose by sending Leslie an email and seeing if he can help you.
This is true. Nothing to lose there except the time it takes to send an email. And I assume you have that much time. So yeah. All right.
Well, they had 20 minutes to wait for you to get your tech issues out of the way, so. And I blame you, not Google, even though it's Google's fault.
Yeah, Why take a chance? Blame us both.
There you go.
So Corey, anything to add?
I just think read as much as you can that's out there. Like, there's a ton of free stuff, and then there's a ton of really good books. And all of Halbert's newsletters, for the most part, are online. And he was one of the best storytellers ever.
Yeah.
In terms of sales, he could turn any story into a sales message.
Pretty much.
And you wanted to read it. So, I mean, between, like, I've studied Benzavenga and Dan Kennedy and Halbert and Fortin and all of those guys, and it's a valuable tool to know. And the other thing I would say is study psychology, because so much of it is that as well. In fact, holy cow, this is an interesting little tiny story. I was up in Portland at the beginning of the year, and it turns out guy who's like a father to me, I was with he and his honey, and he mentioned Freud in relation to her, and I was like, what do you mean? And it turns out she's related to Bernays.
Oh, nice.
And Edward Bernays is the kind of the father of PR, or at least U.S.-based propaganda.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I got to see a picture of him and from way back in the day. But just read a lot of stuff and watch maybe less TV.
Well, much less. Or if you do understand, watch for the selling messages, right, and how it's structured.
Yeah. That's the thing that I learned from Dan Kennedy was, he goes and watches regular movies, and he can pick apart the marketing and sales lessons, even though they're not intended.
Yep.
And one of the movies he recommends is The Muse, in terms of positioning. I watched it, and he's right. There's so much about positioning in there. Not really copy related, but
it's the structure, though. The structure is the same. I mean, it's the structure of language we're talking about here. I mean, Portland is actually where I've done all of my NLP training, and with a couple of
all copy is written from a certain vantage point, and sort of an assumed vantage point that the reader has also.
Right.
So
exactly.
Understanding where they're standing matters, and so that's very much if you want to understand what's going on with the news. So anyway, enough ranting raving about that for me.
Yeah, good. All right, so we'll figure out what we're doing next week. thanks everybody for joining us, and I apologize again for the tech problems. I mean, it just as soon as we think we have it all figured out, Google forces us to log in yet another time or verify something yet another time. I'm not sure what that's about.
The good news is it'll be up on our YouTube channel for those that don't want to risk a technical adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You can just do that.
Just do that. So it'll be up there probably tomorrow. So thanks, everybody. So this is Leslie Rhodey for Dan Thies, Porter Dork, and the absence, Michelle Chan Sangdong. We will see you next week. So take care, everybody.